Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to work with one of my favorite easy plants in the garden, geraniums. I'm going to give them a good prune, and at the same time I'll be taking cuttings. Over the next weeks I'll be filming their progress, and I will later turn it into an update with the results. So make sure to subscribe. Now, I know that for some of you it's still cold, wet or even snowy outside, so consider this a little preview of better gardening days ahead. Traditionally, summer is considered the best time to take geranium cuttings, but in a mild climate like this, and often even indoors, it can actually be done almost year-round. Geraniums do not really have a dormant period, which makes it a great plant to experiment with. What I want to do in this project is try a few different methods and a few different soil types. I'm curious to see what roots fastest and what stays healthiest and what gives the strongest young plants. So today we'll start with pruning the plants and preparing the cuttings, and then over the next week we'll follow up how they will develop. Oh, let's get started. Here we have some new growth. And here, where the leaves grow on the stem, you can see a small swelling around the stem. It's called a node. There's a high concentration of hormones in there that promote new growth, both leaves, branches and roots. We're going to cut it here, between two nodes. Let me remove this leaf so you can get a better view. So when pruning, it's wise to cut the stem just above a node. That way the plant can branch from there and develop a more bushy shape. I'll take a couple more cuttings and remove some of the bigger branches that grow forward. I want to keep the plant roughly the same shape, or let it grow just a little higher. And just a couple more. And I think I'll take this big branch off. As you can see, it has already started to form some flowers. Now, let's take a closer look at preparing a cutting. First, we'll remove some of the lower leaves. And around the node you can see two tiny leaves called stipules. Sometimes they look like dried paper. We need to remove those as well to prevent rotting when the cutting is placed in water or moist soil. Make sure not to damage the growth tip of the cutting. I'll cut the stem just below the last node. Now, let's prepare the rest. There we go. I'm going to place the first batch in water. I'm drilling some holes in a plastic bottle so I can place a couple of them together. In hindsight, I think the Christmas tree drill wasn't the best tool for this. Now make sure to sand the edges so they're not too sharp and won't damage the stems of the cuttings. You can also use the bottom of plastic bottles or just a regular glass, of course. The next batch will go into potting mix. Nothing added, just straight out of the bag. I fill up the pots without compacting the soil too much. I seem to like airy, well-draining soil best. Add a bit of water and make some planting holes. I'll add 3 cuttings per pot, and if I'm lucky enough that they all take, I'll transplant them later. And again, cut the stem right beneath the node. The part of the stem I'm removing isn't going to do anything, except maybe increase the chance of rotting, so that's why I remove it. Small tip on how to cut safely: keep the stem between the blade and your thumb and push the cutting away from you. Don't pull the knife towards yourself. Keep the knife and your thumb in place. This helps prevent cutting accidents. Nice. Here we have another batch of 12 geraniums. On to the next mix. This time I'm adding perlite and a little swung. The internet says 50-50 mix works best, but I think that's a bit too much, so I'm eyeballing it instead. Again, don't compact the soil too much, keep it fluffy. Last summer I planted some cuttings straight into the clay soil. The success rate wasn't very high, but still, I'd like to try something similar again. This time I'm making small pots using toilet paper rolls, cut in half and filled with compressed potting soil. A bit like soil blocks. If it works, I can transplant the cuttings easily and the paper will eventually break down. Don't cut like this, you will cut your thumb. The last one is an experiment. I read that cuttings may even root if the air is moist enough. So I'm filling this container with a bit of water and placing 4 cuttings through the holes in the lid. The stems are too short to reach the water, so let's see how it turns out. Some of the cuttings I took last year also need to be repotted into bigger pots. This feels like a good moment to do that. And here's the result. Not bad. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.